Hi, welcome to Colour Club. In today's video we're going to show you how to draw an ice lolly, but when you use like two layers or two colours on top of each other and leave a little bit of the underside colour or the underside paper colour showing through in order to try and make it look like some like iced kind of effect on the ice lolly. Okay, so yeah, let's give it a go, see how it works out, shall we? These are the colours that I'll be using in today's session. So a bunch of Illustrator markers. Technically, I mean, essentially all you need is a light and a very, very pale version and like a medium tone version of the same colour. So yeah, I'm going for like a pale mint and an aqua blue, so really pale colour, and then the next kind of tone upwards. I'm also going to do the same with yellow, so I've got a real pale yellow and a darker yellow in there, which I'm going to use for the eye. Blue's going to be for the ice lolly. Just a brown. This is tan, which I'm going to use for the stick of the ice lolly. This is like the only grey pen I've got at the moment. You want just like a real pale grey pen, so I'm using this. It's a 026 Spectra from the Spectra range. So yeah, use the palest grey that you've got handy. A couple of fine liner pens. I've got a 0.5 and a 0.1. So the 0.5 is for most of my outlining. The 0.1 is for a little bit of detail right at the end. I'm pretty much sure that we're going to use a Posca marker in here as well. Right at the end of the session, what we'll do is we'll just drop a little white dot in the eye. But we'll also maybe just use this Posca to add some extra white reflections if we need to. Ideally, we're going to try and get the white reflections by not colouring in with the colours, if you know what I mean. But if we need to, we've got that as a backup as well. Finally, grab yourself a pencil. We will need a pencil for today's session. Okay, let's go and draw something in. So let's go for we're going to go for like a skull kind of ice lolly with a stick hanging out at the bottom. So let's do. Normally I do skulls with like 3 teeth. This time I'm going to do 4. So just somewhere in your artwork, do 4 teeth like that, and then we're going to go from join the 2 sides together with like an ice lolly shape. So go that way. Something like that. Let me zoom in a little bit because I know that that's probably quite difficult to see. There you go. You can kind of see that better now. Yeah, so look, a bunch of teeth down the bottom, ice lolly, kind of upside down U shape across the top. In my drawing, I'm only going to put one eye in. I'm going to keep it nice and simple. I'm going to put the eye near the top as well, I think. So one eye in there. Do you want to put a mouth in? Feel free if you want to stick a mouth in there as well. I'm not sure I want to, but I'm going to. Just a little sausage shape for a mouth. And then coming out the bottom, this is the reason I did 4 teeth instead of my usual 3 teeth, because coming out the bottom we're going to do a stick. So it's going to come from that tooth, finish up on that tooth. If I only did 3 teeth in there, that stick and the middle tooth would just kind of get confused with each other and would make it look a little bit weird. So there you go, that's as easy as we can get it. Yeah, that's just the basics of an ice lolly. Oh, actually just 2 more lines. Let's just, on this eye, I want to just close it up a little bit. So let's just put a little curve across the top, little curve across the bottom, just taking a little slice out of those eyes. Okay, you got that? Go and grab your rubber. We're going to just rub a few little bits out on here. So yeah, those pencil lines, they're in there just as guides. Now normally if I was doing a Posca piece of artwork, the pencil lines would disappear under the Posca. But with alcohol markers, the pencil lines do show through. So if anything that's not going to have a black line on it, you kind of want to get rid of it. So just these bits here, look, just there and just there, we're not really going to show those bits. So this bit, look, that's the eyelid just there. That's the bottom, that's the downstairs eyelid and the top eyelid. Keep those in because we're going to have pen lines over those. Also, this little crease at the top, you can keep that in as well because we're going to add that crease in to show the eye kind of bulging out. And we'll probably still add a little crease in down the bottom here to show the eye bulging out down the bottom as well. But they're the only lines you really need to get rid of in here because we're going to leave this bit blank. Okay, you ready then? what we're going to do, we're going to do this in a slightly different order to the way we normally do it. We're going to throw on some colour first, the base colour first. There's not going to be too much in there. Then we're going to outline. The reason we're outlining is to give the base colour plenty of time to dry. We want the base colour dry because after outlining we're going to go in with the second layer of colour, and I don't want any blending to happen. I don't want much blending to happen. It needs to be quite sharp in between the two. Okay. Also, when we go in with the outline, what it will do is it will show us where we need to draw with this second layer of colour as well. It'll make more sense when we get to it. Okay, so let's start at the top, work our way down on our character. Essentially, I'm doing an ice lolly. It's going to have a blue bit at the top, white at the bottom. Eyeball's going to be yellow, teeth are going to be yellow. Okay, it's going to be as easy as that, and stick is going to be brown. So go and grab those two blues. We've got this very pale blue and then a light blue as well. So you want the palest colour you've got, the lightest colour you've got. What we're going to do is just go in across the top of our ice slide. You just figure out how far down you want to go. It doesn't really matter. There's no kind of rules to this bit. But let's just go and colour in the top part of this ice lolly. So I'm going to go across this part of the eyelet. Take your time on this bit. There's no rush. Especially if, like me, if your pen is just kind of running out a little bit, then the technique is always just draw a little bit slower. 9 times out of 10, when your pen feels like it's running out, it's just the ink isn't able to escape the nib at the same speed. So you just got to go a little bit slower. Like I say, nothing special about this bit, just a nice little base coat. Where is it? About there. Does that look about straight? That looks about straight, doesn't it? Use a pencil, use a ruler if you want to get that spot on, but you don't waste too much time trying to get the lines to join on both sides. It's not really particularly critical that you get it. Now obviously you can do this with loads of different colours if you want, just apply the same principle. But what I want to do is I like to keep things nice and quick and simple, and so what we're going to do down the bottom is the bottom bit is going to be a white part of the ice lolly, and we're just going to use a little tiny bit of grey on this bottom bit. And so yeah, it'll cut down our time drawing quite a lot. Yeah, enable us to get something finished much quicker. So it's not about not drawing, it's about getting finished quicker and getting that finished result quicker. Okay, now we've got the two yellows. I'm going to go in with the pale yellow first because we're just doing these base coats, and just going across the eye. I'm going to colour the whole of the eye in with this yellow. This is a real nice yellow. It's like a pale, almost mustardy colour. What is it? This is just light yellow. It's LY1 on the Spectrum Noir range. It's a good base for an eyeball. And again, you could just leave the eyeball white because most eyeballs are kind of white, but I always find like with an eyeball it's always good to do it like a yellow colour. It just adds a little bit of something to it. It's going to do the mouth now. I'm going to put some teeth in on here later, but I'll do that when I'm doing the outlining. So for the time being, just go and throw in a big yellow patch. And like I say, we'll put some teeth in. We'll put some teeth in on there later. Awesome, we're whipping through this really quickly, which is nice. So let's just go and grab that brown now. We're just going to go and put some brown in the stick here. I've used mine's quite a dark brown. You don't have to go this dark. You know, lollipop stick is probably a little bit lighter than this, or a nice lolly stick, popsicle stick, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, don't feel like you have to use exactly the same colours as me. Go for something a little bit lighter than tan. What about like the apricot? That kind of colour. That'll do. Colouring in doesn't need to be perfect. The alcohol will carry on blending in, so it should get a little bit smoother. But it's a wood texture as well down there in the stick, so it doesn't matter if it's a little bit rough. Awesome. We're good. That's the first layer of colouring done. So do you remember I said what we're going to do is put the colour down first, the base layer of colour first, then we'll outline, then we'll go for the second layer of colour. Okay, so we're going to go and outline now. Now when I'm outlining, I'm going to outline with my 0.5. The 0.1 I'll bring back in later for some little tiny details. But let's go and put in this these 0.5 lines. So let's go and do the eyeball first. So the top eyelid and the bottom eyelid, we're just going to go across those lines, but just remember to take these lines and just flick them out a little bit further. Just to about there. Just to about there. You see how it just comes out a little bit further? Just double line it. Make it wonky. Wonky lines, easier to draw, look better as well. As long as you do them wonky all over the place, it'll be fine. Okay, so we've got the two eyelids on. Once we've got the two eyelids on, then we can start putting the actual eyeball on. So this is where we're just going to go around this side up. Again, double line it, strong intersections where this line joins the eyelids. That's where there's going to be a little crease in the eye, so we can go a little bit thicker. Makes it look like there's a bit of a shadow in there. Awesome. That's looking good. Next bit to do is let's go and put in that little line around the top, the little line underneath as well. So this is a bit of a floater of a line. It's just going to hover above there. Look. Little floater of a line. Do the same kind of thing down the bottom here. Little floater. Lovely. And we'll come back to that a little bit later with some more details. In fact, let's go and put a pupil in. I'm always like easygoing when it comes to pupils. You put the pupils in wherever you like on this character. Personally, when I've done an eyelid like that, I like to put a pupil just hanging off the underside of the eyelid. I definitely recommend maybe trying to avoid this area because we're going to put some shadow in on this area later. So let's go and put it just there. And I'm just doing a regular circle. I've got that Posca pen to put in a little dot later to bring the character alive. But yeah, throw a pupil in somewhere on your artwork. And again, so normally I would leave the pupils right until the end. Just in case if you make a mistake, then you can have the pupil looking at where the mistake is. You can put something over the top of where the mistake is. And it just makes it just holds everything together a lot better. Okay, let's carry on. Let's go and do the mouth now. Now we're only doing basic lines here. There we go, double line it. And you know, you'll notice that when I double line that, I actually triple lined it. I went around it 3 times. I'm pretty sure I did. I didn't count. But yeah, just remember that double lining doesn't mean doing it twice, really. It just means make it wonky. If you're skilled enough, then you should be able to just make it wonky in one go. But if not, don't worry about it. Just take your time. Give it as many lines as you can. to get it wonky. Okay, that's looking good. Let's get outside the mouth first. We're just going to put a little crease. Little crease there. Little crease on the other side. Double line it nice and wonky, similar kind of distance away from the mouth line all the way around. And then we'll finish this off by putting in some teeth. We're going to outline the teeth. My suggestion is always start from the middle, work your way out, make the teeth nice and big if you don't want to do too much colouring in. But look, just here, look, big teeth. 1, 2, we get 3 in there. Let's do the same on the other side. 1, 2, 3. Then down the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Almost 4. Let's colour in between the teeth. So you see what I mean by drawing those bigger teeth means a little bit less colouring in. And again, it's not about trying to avoid drawing, it's about trying to get a drawing finished. So if you're the kind of person that actually likes to take their time, likes to colour in, then do that. Do whatever you do to enjoy your drawing. But if you like to see a finished result, then just search out for all those little shortcuts or those ways of making things a little bit quicker to draw, but without kind of messing up on the integrity of the artwork. Okay, one last line then for this. We're just going to go all the way around the outside. The only thing we're going to change a little bit is inside this bit. We're just going to do a little V shape inside to make it look like there's a bit of a crack in the ice lolly. So like this, just bring it down, get to about that point, put a little crack in. Yeah, that's all it is. Just double line it. Do something similar on the other side, maybe just bring the crack down there. We'll put a crack on both sides, gives us an opportunity to practice the technique twice. And then whip around the teeth. Make it wonky. And then we'll finish off our outlining with a little line around the stick. There you go, there's a perfect example of why I double line everything I do. I mean, as much as that looks really cool, we'll talk about this technique in a sec. But the reason I double line it is because sometimes when I do my first line, I don't always hit the right part. So like I've just missed that completely. So yeah, double lining just enables me to kind of go over that again and fill in those gaps and make it look like it was always meant to look like that. However, one thing to note, and this is something we've done in a previous workshop, is down here. You see where we've got this little white bit showing through. You can do that intentionally, and it just looks, doesn't it look like the light is shining in from this direction, a real bright light shining in from this direction and hitting the side of that stick. Just gives it a little bit more of a 3D look. So yeah, use that strategically if you need to. Like I say, we've got a workshop, an older tutorial somewhere where it talks a lot about, where I talk a lot about doing that kind of technique of leaving bits out in order to make them look like there's a little shine on them. Okay, that'll do. That'll do, nice and easy, yeah. Keeping it really, really simple. Right, what we're going to do next is we're going to go with our second layer. So I know second layer, we'll do this bit at the top here, and then we'll do this grey bit down the bottom here on the white area. I know this white area is not really having a second layer, but it's just replicating the second layer. But let's do this top blue bit first. So we've already used that real pale blue. So we're going to get rid of that pale blue, and we're going to use this slightly darker blue. Not a dark blue, but just slightly darker. And what we're going to do, we're going to use the thin end of the pen. We're going to outline some little shapes here and then colour them in. The gaps that we leave need to be like a streaky bit kind of going across the page there. The other thing to remember as well, don't touch the edge of the pencil line. We can get quite close, but just don't touch the edge. Right, I'm going to do the streaks going this way, I think. So let's go like this, look. So we're going to get in there. There's my shape. So see at the top there, I've just kind of gone just inside the pen line. Don't want to get right close to touching the edge. You just want to get close to it, but not touch it. And then on the inside line, it's just a real wonky line, just going a bit all over the place. Try not to think about it too much, just go and put that wonky line in. It looks good. Okay, and then what we do is, what we're going to do now is, let's go and put in a little like V shape in there. So just starting here, look, just kind of follow it across, but then let's bring that back to over there. Again, not touching the edge, just getting quite close to it, not touching the edge. Leaving a bit of a gap so we can see that pale colour that was underneath just showing through. Lovely. Let's keep on going with that. Now, as we get closer in here, do not colour in the top eyelid. We're going to leave that top eyelid. Also, don't touch these pen lines here as well. We can get close, but don't touch them. Let's go with a shape like this. Down the bottom there. There's our shape. So we're just not touching anything. Leaving that gap in between these shapes up top there to create like a bit of a crackled effect. This next one, I'm just going to do a small one. You kind of want to mix it up as much as you can. Do some small bits, do some big bits. Make it look like that cracked line is just all over the place. Let's keep on going. Let's just fill the rest of this gap. You see how most of my cracks are kind of going this way. Again, try not to think about it too much. Just kind of remember the main rules, which are don't touch any pen lines. And then just draw these little random shapes in. And yeah, my technique is usually don't think about things too much, just go and throw it in. And it's almost like you want to learn by accident. So once you've thrown these like shapes in, you'll get to a point where you think, actually, I really like the look of that shape, and I don't like the look of that shape. So just, the shapes that you like the look of, just draw those ones more. The shapes that you don't like, don't draw them anymore. When it comes to drawing, it really is as easy as that. There we go, getting a little bit of a cracked effect. We will come back with that colour in a little while. We're just going to give that eyelid a bit of shade. But we're going to do that second after we've done that kind of effect again, but just down here in the rest of the mouth. So this time I'm going to go and use my really pale grey. Let's go and do the same kind of thing. So as before, look, just kind of get as close as you can to the edge without touching the edge. Colour it in, leave a little gap. Go around that as well. Just with these wonky lines. Try and put some fat lines in there as well, put some thin lines in. Let's do that. Look. Getting a bit close to that mouth line, that'll be fine. Didn't mean to go right to the edge, but we've done it now, so let's just work with it. Just keep on working your way across, just adding these little shapes in. Just remembering to leave these little gaps every now and then. Another technique you can do for this, if you're struggling to know where to leave the gaps, just grab a pencil and just do like a jagged line across there, and then don't colour in where that jagged line is. Now we're doing a big bit. You know, maybe stop just about there. Let's just go and put some little. In fact, yeah, that's good. Don't get too close into the teeth. Just do some smaller little sections, but don't get too close into the teeth, because what we want to do in there is just going to add some little shadows. So we're going to work our way back up again now. This time we're just concentrating on the shadows. So in the teeth, for example, I'd expect to see a little bit of a shadow there. Yeah, over in this mouth, where would we see the shadows in the mouth? We'd definitely see it on the outside there and on the inside here. Maybe even a little bit just there as well. Keep on working your way up. We'd see a bit of a shadow there. There's all our grey shadows done. Let's get into that eye. The nice thing we're going to do with the eye is we're going to continue the shadow. We're going to change colour but continue the shape of the shadow up there into the eyelids. So if you remember, we did the eyeball in this light yellow. We're going to now grab the darker yellow and we're just going to put in, watch this, just a little shadow around this side. Just remembering then to take the colour that we've got here that we've already used, continue that shadow up into the eye up here. So let's start about there. Still using that technique of not, or trying not to touch the outlines. Got a bit close at the top there, but I think we've gotten away with that. Awesome. Okay, let's have a little bit of fun with our character now. What we're going to do is we're going to take the original colours that we've already used. I'm just going to add some fizz to our character now. Now, when I say fizz, look, just little spots like that. Nothing too much up in there. You can also use the lighter colour, so we can use the lighter colour over the top of the lighter colour, and just that double dose of the light colour just gives it a very subtle look. Move your way down. We want to put some of those spots in the eye as well. I always like a bit of texture in the eyes. Looks good. Moving down a bit, either go with a slightly darker grey or give it a double dose of the light grey, whatever you think is going to work best. I'd always suggest kind of starting with the light grey, see how it looks. If it doesn't look right, then change it over. It's gone a bit pale, isn't it? So let's just go and put a slightly darker grey in there. How's that looking? Let's put a few more over this side. Lovely. Okay, let's keep it going then. Next thing we're going to do, just go and grab that thin pen, that real thin pen. I just want to put a few little tiny details in with the thin pen now. So with that 0.1, what we're going to do is just going to change some of these bits that have come in just here. So watch this. Look, what we're going to do here, look, just take a little line from there and just flick it across. And then you see that bottom line of that V shape, that little bottom line there, just going to flick that across as well. Just follow that line. Flick that across. See how it looks? Just starting to look like a little wedge taken out of the side of the ice lolly. Yeah, let's practice that technique on this side. Look, so start from that top point. Look, just a line going out, nice thin line, and then that bottom part of the V shape. Just continue that. Till it joins, and we've got that nice little slice taken out. Awesome, I like that. Whilst we've got that thin pen in our hand, let's just go and put some extra little wrinkles and cracks and things like that in. So again, don't think about it too much, just kind of go in with some spaces where things are looking a little bit boring. Just try and make them look a little bit more interesting by putting in a little crack. Maybe across here, look, we can put in a couple of little wrinkles. Same at the bottom here. Maybe a few little lines coming up the side here. A few bits of graining in the teeth. Bring in some of those lines for the lip. Extra wrinkles. Little quote marks. I always like quote marks in my artwork, so again, don't think about it too much. Just go around, scatter those quote marks in. Maybe even put in a little hashtag here and there. Hashtags are just a nice little way of putting in a little tiny bit of detail. Looks good. Okay, let's get into the lolly stick. So normally for my technique for drawing wood, you check out my Tiki Mask videos. They'll show you my favourite technique for drawing wood, or the easiest technique for drawing wood, which is essentially just finding a black line across the top, flicking the pen down, finding the black line across the bottom, flicking the pen up, and then just filling in the gaps with a few like double-ended flick-off lines. That is one technique for drawing wood. It looks really good and is really easy to do. The second technique for you to try out is this little kind of oval technique. So it's just constantly drawing ovals. So we'll start off with a little oval like that. But then what you want to do is you want to draw another oval over the top of it. And then you want to go again, yeah? But just try and go a little bit wonkier with it. And you see how as soon as you start getting wonkier with it as well, starts to look like a knot in the wood, bit of wood grain. Let's do it again. And you can also see as well the way it's kind of like the side, the lines that are going up and down are quite close to each other. These lines that are going across, there's a big gap in between them. That also looks pretty cool. Let's put another little oval in. Let's put an oval there. Look. And let's go and just finish it off with some little wrinkly lines. That'll do. Yeah, so it's just kind of starting off with that oval shape, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Do that a couple of times and then finish off with that little wiggly lines in the gaps. Just remembering the grain of the wood. So the grain of the wood on this one's going up and down. So the majority of your lines want to go up and down. You don't want to be going left to right. They're all nearly going up or down. Maybe slight deviations to the side, but nothing too much. Okay, let's power line this. We're nearly finished. We're going to power line it. We're going to put a little bit of a background on it, and we're going to put some shading in on those teeth because they look a little bit plain to me, and then a little white dot in the eyes. So power line in first. Let's go a little bit thicker with the outside line. Power lining is a personal preference for me. I always think my artwork looks a little bit more finished with a power line. So if you'll know this feeling. You know, you get to the end of a piece of artwork and you think it's just something not quite right about it. In my opinion, 9 times out of 10, that's something that is not quite right about it. It's just a power line, and a power line is just going around the outside edge with a fat border. Not all the lines, just the outside lines. Now you might have a thicker pen that you can do this with. I'm still using my 0.5. The reason I'm using my 0.5 is because I know it will dry quicker. I've got a 1.5 that will get the line done a lot quicker, but it will stay wet for ages. And I want it to dry fairly quick so I can put a little bit of a background on. How's that? Yeah, you see, for me that just looks so much more finished. We'll come back, we'll do some more in that in a second, but just going to grab that yellow. All I want to do with that yellow is just put some little kind of background bits on. Nothing complicated, look. Just a little bouncy line like that. Colour it all in. Careful as you get close to the black line, you don't want to be smudging over that black line too much, because there is a chance that you'll start picking up some of that ink, moving it around. That's not really what we want at this stage. Let's do a little bit over this side. There we go. Rather than just leaving it like that, let's bring in some smaller circles. Just to break it all up a little bit there. Squeaky pen. And then I'm going to use that. This is still that darker yellow, so I'm just going to use it now to add a bit of a drop shadow. In on those teeth. See, just a little tiny shadow just sends the teeth back a little bit. Okay, I think we're on the home straight now. Last thing I always like to do is just put some little black spots in. Maybe a little fly. This character's looking over here, so let's put a little fly in there. Awesome, right. Little white dots. So grab that Posca. I know this is this session is meant to be all about alcohol markers, but I do like a white Posca just going over the top. That's all it is, just one little dot in there. Put a few dots in if you want to make it look even extra reflective. You can also use this if you want to put some little shiny bits into your ice lolly. Make it shine even more. I'm going to leave it like that though. I'm not going to put too much in it. Don't want to firstly, I don't want to overuse the white Posca. There you go, one quick little signature, and that is our ice lolly done. So the main thing for this session was giving it that kind of textured look, that crack of pale colour going through the ice lolly. See how we're down here? We've just used that pale grey, left loads of white showing through, make that white look like it's a frosty kind of look. There it is. Oops. Awesome, right, I hope you enjoyed that session. Yeah, tag me, Doodle with Korp, or use the hashtag Doodle with Korp, or tag me in any posts you put online. Always love to see your artwork. Thank you very much for taking part. I'll see you in the next video.